which started from Krishna and ended visual and and today we are going to discuss about the person who laid the foundation of the and he was and actually when we analyze the contributions of Vishwanath Saha, or to say the positive and negative aspects of Vishwanath Saha's life, we generally have to analyze it on two ways. The first is what Vishwanath Saha did. That is what more. And second one is what Vishwanath Saha did and what he spoke. On the basis of these things, we have to examine the contributions of Vishwanath Saha in the unity. We have to assess the role played by Vishwanath Saha in the unification chapter. And generally it is said that Vishwanath Saha only laid the foundation of the unification. Generally it is said that Vishwanath Saha only laid the foundation of the unification chapter. Rather, they were completed by his successors, especially Rajendra Lakshmi and Bharata Saha, and to some extent Bhimsen Thapa. Because you know, during the Muktiarship of Bhimsen Thapa, the political boundary of Nepal was the biggest one. Because it was during the time of Bhimsen Thapa that the Nepalese army conquered the western territories after Karwa. So during the time of Bhimsen Thapa, the political boundary of Nepal was very big. But during the time of Bhimsen Thapa itself, Nepal lost 1/3 of its territory in the army. So it is said that Vishwanath Saha only laid the foundation and the actual unification works were done by his successors. But the foundation is the most important. Everyone realizes. Even in the construction of the house, the foundation is more. If the foundation is weak, certainly the house is okay. If the foundation is strong, then everything is good. So here also, Vishwanath Saha laid the foundation of the unification of the Saha. That is the most important. And under the footstep of him, or to say under the policies adopted by him, his successors expanded the unification work and the so the most important person in the unification of Nepal, there is no doubt. Though during the time of Krishna, though during the most part of Vishwanath Saha's time, he did not think of the unification of Nepal. He was only thinking of the expansion of Gorkha to the very kingdoms of Nepal. But in the end, the foundation which he laid in the unification of Nepal was further enhanced by his successor. And that's why Vishwanath Saha was the main figure of the unification of Nepal, and he actually was the person who was solely responsible for the unification of Nepal. And that's why we are going to assess we are going to analyze the contributions of Prithviraj Shah and the policy and his strategy especially. We are going to analyze Prithviraj Shah as a military strategist. And while analyzing Prithviraj Shah's strategies, there may be some duplications in our lecture because we have to analyze the strategy of Prithviraj Shah on the basis of the battle he fought, on the basis of the work he did, on the battles he fought, and the work he did, we have already mentioned in our last lecture. That's why there may be some duplication in today's lecture because we have already mentioned his wars already. Anyway, I will try not to repeat those things again, which we have already discussed in our last lecture. Now, as I already told you that the works of Prithviraj Shah can be judged on two grounds. The first one, what he did, and the second one, what he fought during his president. On the basis of this lecture, to the Nepali courtiers during the last days of his life in Nuwakot, and that lecture, that long lecture, he gave to the courtiers is generally known as. So firstly, we discussed the role of Prithviraj Shah in the unification of Nepal on the basis of the wars he fought or the activity he did. Now, when we discuss Prithviraj Shah as a military strategist, we have to take into consideration some of the main points which Prithviraj Shah adopted as his strategy. So, I don't repeat the wars he fought, or I don't want to repeat the activity he did. Rather, I will discuss the main policies he adopted or he implemented. Now, the first policy as a strategist Prithviraj Shah adopted was the strategy of place and time. This is the first strategy. Place and time. Because when we are discussing time, one may be surprised to know that it took 27 years of Prithviraj Shah just to conquer the three kingdoms of Nepal. And it is a very long time, 27 years, because Prithviraj Shah started his military campaign in 1742, immediately after he became the king, and it ended in the conquest of the 1476. So, 27 years. If Prithviraj Shah did not give importance to time, then such a long period will not be taken for his unification. That means his unification campaign will be shortened, but at the same time, it is most probable that his military campaign would be against. So that's the most important. If you wanted to complete his unification campaign or his military campaign in a short period, there was every possibility of being his failure in his campaign. But he was a kind of far-sighted military commander or military general, or to say military leader who did not, who was not influenced by time, who never thought that he had to complete his military campaign in a short period. Let it take time, but let the campaign be done. That's what we do. In order to be a failure in a short period is worse than a successful military campaign in a long period. And prisoners are to be latter. Let it take the long time, but let it be a success. And as much as he gave importance to time, so much importance he also gave to the place, or to say the space, or to say the place where he conducted his unity. And certainly one question arises. Immediately after his becoming the king of Gorkha, he made an attack on Dua. Why Dua? Certainly this question arises. And we have already mentioned it, I don't want to discuss it again, that in conquering Dua first, he had only two objectives. The first one is, it was the western gate of the Kakari Valley. From there, it was easier to enter the Kakari Valley than in the first thing. And then the second thing was that he wanted to develop trade with people, which would be much more beneficial for a poor state. So he chose Nuwakot. And he chose Nuwakot, but he failed in his first attempt. When he failed in his first attempt, he did not make the second attempt immediately. That was also his strategy. Because he realized that the lack of motor equipment and the lack of proper training to the army led to his failure in the first battle of Nuwakot. That's why he went to Manala, he purchased arms and ammunition, then only he made a second attempt on Nuwakot, in which he isn't it? So that was the strategy of his place. Similarly, after that, the second question arises, why the Kirtipur War was so long? The first Kirtipur War was fought in 1757, and Kirtipur was conquered only in 1766. That means it took full 9 years to conquer a small place, a small hilly area, which was not an independent state, which was under Manipur. So in order to conquer that small place, President Shah experienced full 9 years. And actually speaking, the first Kirtipur War was proved to be a mistake of President Shah, which we have already mentioned in our lecture. That Kalu Pandey, the commander, was against the invasion of Kirtipur, without preparation. And Kalu Pandey was of opinion that since all the three kingdoms of the valley were united against Gorkha, the invasion over Kirtipur would be a failure. But Prithviraj Shah committed a mistake here, that he did not want to give much more time to the enemy or to the nation. Before the enemies were prepared, he wanted to start. And the first invasion of Kirtipur ended in a failure. Not only that, his commander died, his life himself was at risk, which which we have already mentioned. That was, I don't discuss it again. Anyway, the first mistake was committed. And after the first mistake was committed, Krishnan Shah realized it, and he did not make the second attempt on Tipu. He made second attempt on Tipu only in 1764, after 7 years. And after he made all preparations. And what were those preparations? We have already mentioned it. I just repeated only in point. The first one that he concluded an agreement with Kantipur to get his cooperation, or to get his neutrality. Because he knew that in the first Kirtipur war, Kantipur was the power who fought bravely against the war. That's why he concluded an agreement with Jayaprakash Malla, from which Jayaprakash Malla promised to be neutral in Gorkha's attempt on Lalitpur and Kirtipur. Then after that, he conquered Mokwanpur. He did not make an attempt on Kirtipur, he conquered Mokwanpur. Because from Mokwanpur, he made the economic blockade of the Kathmandu Valley more strict. Then after that only, he made an attempt once again on Kirtipur, but this time also he failed. Even without the help of Kantipur, Prithviraj Shah's army was once again defeated in the second. When he was defeated in the second Kirtipur war, then he followed the different means, and that is quite unusual means. Now what he did, he encircled the Kirtipur city. A kind of blockade was imposed on Kirtipur. Then he also took the child of a courtier as hostage. Anyway, he adopted unusual means for which he is criticized. And under compulsion, out of helplessness, the Kirtipur people surrendered and Kirtipur came under his control after that. So that was his another strategy. Similarly, now after the conquest of the valley kingdoms of Kapan Valley, Prithviraj Shah made attempts to conquer the eastern and western states. The eastern states were easily conquered because those states were around. Only Chaudhary had there. But he was failure in his western campaign because he could not break the unity of the choice. Isn't it? So, what I don't mean to say is that Prithviraj Shah gave much more importance to place and time. And furthermore, one last point in this condition is that after the conquest of Kantipur, he sent a letter to Lalitpur for surrender, and which was to achieve within 2 weeks. But Bhaktapur was not prepared to surrender. And he made an attack on Bhaktapur only after a huge preparation for 1 year. It was after more than a year that Bhaktapur was conquered, and that also in the teeth of opposition. Because 2,000 soldiers were killed and 500 houses were burned. So, the first point I want to mention here about Prithviraj Shah and his military strategy was that he gave prime importance to place and time in his unification. Then the second thing, he concentrated his whole attention on the war strategy. He developed several war strategies, because of which he got the final victory over the kingdoms of Nepal. Now regarding war strategy, the first one is I discussed only in points because the events we have already discussed. Now the first war strategy of Prithviraj Shah was the encirclement of the Kathmandu. Because after the encirclement of the Kathmandu Valley, it was easier for him to conquer it. So encirclement of the Kathmandu Valley, that was the first war strategy he developed. Then the second was that he developed a strong spinal system. And the spinal system we have discussed yesterday that one of the causes of Nepal's defeat in Anglo-Nepal War was that the spinal system of Nepal was very poor. Whereas the spinal system of Guptachar Vyavastha, spinal system, spinal, yes. Whereas the spinal system of the British was very strong, and the British authorities or British commanders used to spread false rumor against the Nepalese army. But the Nepalese army, there is one very beautiful article written in one paper many years back, in which it is said that, in order to know the happenings of one place, the Nepalese soldiers had to rely on the British information. The Nepalese soldiers had no such independent information. And regarding the British information, it is generally a false information in order to demoralize the Nepalese army. So the Spanish Prithviraj Shah tried to make the spinal system very strong. That is the second war strategy. Then the third war strategy is certainly he adopted, some kind of unusual means in the war, in many places. Now I will give the example only of the Gurjin Khan, which came to help the Raja of Makwanpur after the first conquest. We have already discussed it. Now what Prithviraj Shah did, when Gurjin Khan came to Makwanpur, the Gorkhali army of Prithviraj Shah's army evacuated the fort in order to give impression to the enemy that the Gorkhali soldiers had already left the fort. So that was the impression he gave. In the European history, when Napoleon made an attack on Russia, the Russian army did not resist Napoleon Bonaparte, and Napoleon Bonaparte could easily reach Moscow. But when the winter season came, many of his soldiers died because of the poor weather. That was the strategy of Russian government. That was a great loss for Napoleon. And here also, Prithviraj Shah gave the impression to the enemy, to Gurjin Khan's army, that the Gorkhali army had evacuated that Makwanpur. Then Gurjin Khan army halted in that Makwanpur army, and at the midnight, which was giving many information, the Gorkhali army made a sudden attack on Gurjin Khan, and as a result, Gurjin Khan's army was. So that is the unusual thing. Invasion at midnight and giving the wrong impression to the enemy.
So same tactics was used against Kinloch army.
Yes, in Kinloch's army is not evacuation, but in Kinloch's army, the Gorkhali army suddenly attacked the Kinloch's army in guerrilla tactics. Guerrilla tactics are about which Kinloch's army was defeated. That's why Prithviraj Shah's war strategy was that when he had to fight war, he had to take the guerrilla tactics. Because the Indian army was not familiar with the guerrilla tactics. And he exploited that opportunity. So that was the thing. Then he again Sometimes he also adopted some unusual means, that is stoppage of water and food and the economic blockade of the Kashmiri Valley. So these were all the war strategies adopted by Naram Shah throughout his military. Then the third one is political and diplomatic moves. Because the war is victory is there if the army or the commander make political and diplomatic moves. Only the strength of the army did not turn the war into a victory. The political and diplomatic moves are very much necessary. And Prithviraj Shah, all through his military career, gave much more importance to political and diplomatic. For example, now the first thing, he was very much active in breaking the unity of the kingdoms of the Nepal. He conquered the territories in the east with the help of Bhaktapur. We have already discussed. Similarly, when he lost the war in the first Pilipur war, then he tried to break the unity between Kandipur and Lalitpur. He signed the agreement with Gandhi, seeking his neutrality. Similarly, he was failure in conquering the western states because he could not break the unity of the Cholis. So from the very beginning, the main intention of Prithviraj Shah was to break the unity among the enemy states. That was his first and foremost policy as a political and diplomatic move. Similarly, he also tried to get the help of the friends of the king. Now, Kautilya, you have heard Kautilya or Chanakya. Now he has said, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Did you understand?
Yes.
The enemy of your enemy certainly is your friend, indirectly. Similarly, the friend of your enemy is your enemy. Isn't it? Chanakya is quite correct. Yes. And Prithviraj Shah tried to win the support of the friend of his enemy. He did not treat the friend of his enemy as an enemy, as Kautilya said. Rather, he tried to win over the friend of his enemy. And once he could win over the friends of his enemy, the task was very much easier for him. That's why another political and diplomatic move he adopted, and similarly, he also made several attempts to keep the Chobisi states aloof from his military campaign in the capital. Because if the Chobisi states interfere in the situation, it would be very difficult for him to get success. And that's why, from the beginning to the end, he tried his best to keep the Chobisi states aloof from the valley politics, and we have already discussed that in between the period, the conquest of Nuwakot and the conquest of the valley kingdoms, 4 wars were fought by Prithviraj Shah against Chobisi. When Chobisi states tried to interfere in the unification campaign of Prithviraj Shah, he immediately made the defensive war against the Soviets. And that was the point. So, the second point we have discussed here is that President Naram Shah adopted several war strategies to make these unification campaigns. Then the third one, it does not mean that from the very beginning to the end, President Naram Shah was successful. There were many failures of him. Or there are at least some major failures of him in the unification. But the main point is that President Naram Shah soon realized his weakness or the cause of his weakness and tried to improve his position by taking necessary policies or by adopting necessary measures. He did not repeat the mistake, but it is said that to commit mistake is human, but to repeat the mistake is not. One may commit the mistake, but one should not repeat the mistake. That's the most. And in the life of President Naram Shah, we see that in most of the cases, President Naram Shah did not repeat the mistake. He committed the mistake, but he did not repeat it. Now, what we reach here? The first one is that when he made the first attempt on Nuwapur, I did not discuss it in detail at the time. Then he entrusted the command of his force to one Bilal Thapa. And Bilal Thapa was going to make an attack on Nuwapur. In the first attempt. Then his advisors said that, well, this Bilal Thapa was very much poor. He was not making an attack on Nuwapur very swiftly. Then President Naram Shah, on his advice, sent another army under the leadership of another person, Maestro. And the result is that both the army could not do well as he wanted. So that was the kind of untrusty nature of President Naram Shah actually led to the failure in the first Nuwapur war. But later on, he did not commit that mistake. That's the point. He committed the mistake, but not repeated. So that is what is a very good point on President Naram Shah. Similarly, now in the Kirtipur also, now it is again repeated because when we discuss his failure, this point must be mentioned. Now regarding Kirtipur also, much against the wishes of the commander, he made an attack on Kirtipur without preparation, and he was, and his commander died. But here also he did not commit, he did not repeat the mistake. He waited for several years and finally got victory in Kirtipur without it. So he made a mistake, but that did not repeat in Kirtipur. Similarly, after the conquest of the Valley Kingdom, he sent his army to conquer the Chobisi. But he did not make any attempt to break the unity among the Chobisi. And that's what he did. That led to it. But later on, at the time of Rajendra Lakshmi made such diplomatic efforts, such diplomatic moves that she could conquer the three big Chobisi states during the Kashmir. And one more important thing here is that whether all of us accept it or not, faith has played a very important role in the last 5 years. Even if you adopt very